Imagine finishing a DIY project, whether it's a custom-built coffee table or a backyard greenhouse, and snapping a picture to share online. You proudly post it with the caption, "Look what I built all by myself." But here's the thought-provoking question. Did you do it for the joy of creating something? Or was it more about showing the world how independent you are? In today's world, the line between genuine DIY and performative self-sufficiency can blur easily. So, let's explore when DIY is truly empowering and when it veers into subtle narcissism. With the rise of social media, DIY has taken on a new meaning. It's no longer just about fixing things, saving money, or creating something unique. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok are flooded with posts of DIY projects, many featuring captions like, "Look what I built all by myself." These posts are no longer just about solving problems or finding personal fulfillment. They've become a way to create an image of independence and resourcefulness for the world to see. And let's not forget about comparison culture. When we scroll through other people's elaborate DIY projects online, it's easy to feel the pressure to outdo them. The result? DIY becomes more about appearances than practicality, and the illusion of mastery sets in. Posting about your DIY project can make you seem like an expert, even though the reality may involve countless mistakes and help from others. While sharing achievements is great, it often shifts the focus from personal growth to seeking external validation. But what does DIY really mean at its core? Genuine DIY is about empowerment. It's about gaining control over your environment, learning valuable skills, and reducing your reliance on external systems. DIY is about addressing real needs and challenges. For example, fixing a broken chair or building a tool shed is about solving a practical problem, not about creating something just to show off. The best DIY projects are those where the focus is on learning and growing through effort. Even if your project isn't perfect, the skills you gain and the challenges you overcome are the real rewards. DIY can also be a cost-effective solution. If a project costs less than hiring a professional or buying something pre-made, then it makes sense to DIY. When it's truly a need and a practical solution, DIY can save both time and money. And of course, the personal satisfaction that comes from completing a project for yourself, without worrying about others' opinions, is what truly makes DIY meaningful. However, when DIY becomes more about impressing others than solving your own problems, it shifts from empowerment to narcissism. There are clear signs that a DIY project may be more about self-image than self-sufficiency. One of the most obvious signs is the obsession with sharing. If the first thing on your mind is how your project will look on social media, it's likely more about the validation you'll receive than the joy of creating. Another sign is prioritizing complexity over practicality. When you choose to build something elaborate just to prove you can, when a simpler solution would have sufficed, that's a clear sign of performative DIY. Another issue is the contradiction of bragging about doing it all yourself, while relying heavily on factory-made tools and pre-cut materials. This highlights the disconnect between the image you're trying to project and the reality of what you're actually doing. And of course, one of the biggest red flags is burnout. Spending excessive time and energy on projects that don't align with your actual needs or skills just to maintain an image can lead to exhaustion and frustration. When DIY becomes about proving something to others, rather than meeting your own goals, it has crossed the line into narcissism. The costs of performative DIY are more than just emotional. They can be very real. First, there's the waste of resources. Projects driven by appearances often consume more materials, tools, and time than they're worth. Instead of focusing on efficiency and practicality, you end up pouring resources into something just for the sake of the image. Performative DIY also skips over the valuable learning opportunities that make DIY so rewarding. The real value of DIY comes from trial and error, from learning skills and gaining experience. When the goal is just to produce something that looks good for the camera, you miss out on the deeper lessons that come with the process. This also leads to emotional burnout. Constantly trying to impress others can turn DIY into a stressful activity rather than an enjoyable one. Lastly, performative DIY can set unrealistic standards. By projecting an image of effortless independence, it can discourage others from attempting DIY projects themselves, thinking they're not good enough or capable enough to take on such tasks. The key to avoiding performative DIY is finding balance. DIY doesn't have to be purely independent or entirely performative. It can exist in a healthy middle ground. Start by focusing on practical value. Choose projects that serve a real purpose in your life, such as repairing furniture, organizing your space, or creating something you truly need. Celebrate the process, not just the product. Instead of only showing off the perfect end result, share the journey, including mistakes and lessons learned along the way. Not only does this make your work more authentic, but it also encourages others to take on their own projects without the fear of failure. Acknowledge your dependencies. Be honest about the tools, materials, and knowledge that made your project possible. Independence doesn't mean isolation. Recognizing the contributions of others can make your DIY journey even more meaningful. Before you post about a project, ask yourself if you'd still be proud of it if no one else ever saw it. If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. Finally, embrace simplicity. Don't overcomplicate your projects just to make them seem impressive. Simple, functional solutions are often the most satisfying. DIY is about empowerment, not performance. It's a way to take control of your life, solve problems, and learn new skills, not a stage for proving your worth to others. By focusing on practicality, learning, and personal satisfaction, you can ensure your DIY projects remain meaningful and authentic. The next time you pick up a hammer or paintbrush, remember that the most impressive thing about DIY isn't how it looks, it's how it makes you feel. Keep your projects grounded and celebrate the process, rather than just the product. Recognize that DIY is as much about learning, growing, and personal satisfaction as it is about creating something with your own hands. Let's keep the focus where it belongs, on what DIY can do for you, not just what it can show to others. Now, before you embark on your next project, ask yourself, is this something I truly need to do myself, or is it about impressing others? If you found this video insightful, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe for more tips on authentic self-sufficiency, creativity, and personal growth. Drop a comment below. What's your perspective on DIY? How do you ensure your projects stay grounded in personal satisfaction? Let's continue the conversation.